inflation and deflation? Please rise.
Inflation versus deflation. These are the words anyway. Inflation means the first when the price of goods and services rise, while deflation occurs when those prices decrease. Inflation is caused when goods and services are in high demand, like making a drop in availability. Supplies can increase for many reasons like natural disaster. Whatever reason, consumers are willing to pay more for the items they want, causing manufacturers and service providers to charge more. Inflation, of course, when too many goods are available or when there's not enough money, circulating to purchase those goods.
So that's the difference between inflation and deflation. And tonight we're going to discuss that literally, physically, and also during our table topic session. But for the interest of everybody, I would like to give you the updated figures of Toastmasters. How many countries present in how many countries? 143 countries. How many clubs? 16,600 clubs. And how many members all around the world? 357,000 members. And in the Philippines, how many clubs do we have in the Philippines? Our base for this year is 187 clubs. 187 clubs. And as of now, 161 are already paid. Meaning to say 20 plus are still have to pay their dues next week. And one of them is our very humble club, Ivan Associates Toastmasters Club, founded on September 1, 2005. So we just celebrated our 13th birthday last month, and currently we belong to Division B, Area 13 of District 75. I would like this time, let's proceed to the first part of every Toastmasters meeting, the table topic session. Since we don't have a non-Toastmaster guest, we will proceed right away with our table topic session. Our table topics evaluator will be our president, Frances Ponce, and he's going to choose the best respondent later, who's going to win a prize. Welcome. You are?
Stephen, guest po niyo ulit.
Guest of?
Hotel.
Yeah. Rodel is coming. Have a seat. Welcome. Stephen, is this your first time to attend the Toastmasters meeting?
I have previous experience with my company.
What company is that?
Maxim.
Yeah, Maxim. Yeah, Cavite.
Mr. Kiyata.
Yes, Division K.
Ayun.
Maxim Integrated. So welcome. So are you a Toastmasters member already? Not yet.
I think I have.
Almost.
Almost. I have.
Almost. You're still working at Maxim? No.
Analog devices.
Analog devices.
Toastmasters.
Yes, maybe in the future. So welcome to IA. He's the guest of Rodel. And Rodel is coming
With
Yeah.
another guest.
with another guest. Wow. So we have many guests for tonight. So we're now at the table topic session. This is the impromptu speaking or the extemporaneous speaking session of Toastmasters. And tonight, I'm going to call for volunteers who's going to respond to my questions. We are guided by different patterns. There are actually 12 patterns in table topics in giving your response. Example, the topic is, what can you say or how can you explain inflation versus deflation by giving examples? So I'm going to respond. Well, inflation, currently we're experiencing inflation because just looking at the price of our gas, starting January up to this time of the year, it already increased by 14 pesos already. But what do we mean by inflation? Inflation simply means there are more money in the society or in the economy chasing after fewer goods. So we need to say the demand is high, but the supply is few, or are few. The demand are few. The supply is very high. So why do we experience inflation? The price of the oil or gas is being determined by the price in the world market. And since all of us, most of us are consuming or using gas or diesel with our cars, so it's being affected by the price of the gas in the world market. So how can the government help? If the price of the gas will still continue to rise to about $83 per gallon, then that's the time that the government should intervene. By how? Like suspending first the VAT for the gas, etc., etc. Now, deflation. What's the deflation? Deflation, on the other hand, means that the supply is high, but the demand is low. Example, there's company A who build this type of car. And since this car is very useful and very marketable, so the other car manufacturers build the same prototype of that car. Meaning to say, there are so many cars of that type in the market. So the consumers have to choose which car to buy. But since there are so many cars of that type, now the price of the car will what? Increase or decrease? Decrease. So meaning to say, they have to sell the price of that car at a lower price in order to sell it to few buyers. In that case, that scenario will cause deflation. So that's the difference between inflation and deflation. Now, for our table topic session, who's going to start responding? Anybody who does not have a speaking role for tonight? Hindi ko din, hindi ko. The other side.
I will volunteer.
Oh, Dr. Aldi. Let's go, Dr. Aldi. Dr. Aldi, thank you for volunteering.
Nobody wants. I volunteer.
Choose from 1 to 5.
1.
Number 1. Number 1 is usually the easiest. Let's find out. Here's your question. Do you think that train law on adjusting the withholding tax of your salary is beneficial to you and your family or not? Do you think that the current train law, whereas they adjusted the withholding tax of your salary, is beneficial to you and your family or not? Let's hear it from Dr. Alvin.
Train law, unfortunately, is not properly, in my own opinion, is not properly well studied. Why? It has caused right now the effects. But the withholding, as per your question, on my part, since I'm not, my income is on a higher bracket.
Wow.
Therefore, it doesn't affect me. That is for the lower bracket, unfortunately. So for me, for those in the lower bracket, it helps. But the problem with what's happening, the increasing of prices, apparently it doesn't help. Why? The businessmen knew that the prices would increase. So what will they do? They hoard the goods. So what is the effect of hoarding the goods? The increase of prices. So there's what we call artificial increase of prices. So for my part, trade law is only beneficial to those who are in power. The withholding is out of the question. It's not properly researched and according to certain studies. Not according to me, but according to certain studies. For those in the higher bracket, it doesn't affect us. But for those in the lower bracket, but the effect right now, it doesn't really know. That's all.
Thank you, Dr. Alvin. Please have a seat. Your guest. Since we're discussing about inflation, please all of us, please join our GE for tonight. Yes, he's the first speaker. So, Rodel and your guest. please sit there. Yes, everybody should be part of the welcome. Your name is?
Francis.
Francis, welcome. First time to attend a Toastmasters meeting?
Yes.
Yes, have a seat. So speaking of praying though, here's a trivia. My second trivia for tonight. If you earn at the middle, you're a middle management earner next year or in 2019 or 2020, you will still benefit more because your withholding tax will be adjusted. Meaning to say, they already gave you this year with more salary and they lessen your tax, and next year they will adjust it again. So meaning to say, the middle managers or the managers will earn more. But those who belong to the highest bracket, to the top management, will suffer. The highest tax or withholding tax in the previous years is how many percent? Withholding tax. 32%. Do you know how much are they going to deduct for the highest earners like Dr. Alvin? No. When you say highest earners, there are 8 million. So for the top executives, for the top executives, you know how many percent are they going to deduct? 35%. So if you are the president of the company, or if you're if you are the highest sales performer, expect that more than 1/3 of your earning will be splashed. Yes, just like in Lotto. If you win in a Lotto, 1 billion, you know how much is the tax? 200 million.
Yung government ako,
Oh, let's go on. Number two.
Those who are earning 8 million above are
Yes, 35.
Yeah, only
affected.
affected.
Yes.
For high.
The middle earners will benefit more. Oh, let's go on our second respondent for tonight. How about Kay? So, Kay.
Number 2.
Choose from 2 to 5.
Number 2.
Your topic here. Do you think that negative news from social media contribute to inflation? Do you think that negative news from social media contribute to inflation? Let's hear from Kay.
Negative news from social media? I think it depends. What kind of negative news is being fed and we receive on our news feed? If the kind of, because last night as I was going home, it was broadcasted that there will be a rollback of oil price. That's, in my opinion, that's what I base inflation or deflation on. I don't base my opinion based on social media. For me, social media is pure bias. It's your own opinions. I would rather stick to facts. Because I always watch my news on ANC at 11 a.m., Channel 27. And this is how my day goes. That's why I always rely only on the best sources. I don't rely on social media because people also post their own feedbacks, own comments, and their own biases. So if you want to know what really is going on, stick to your own sources, stick to your cable provider for the best news providers, and try to know everything else that is going on. Because at the end of the day, all of us are affected anyway.
Yes. Thank you. So, proof that Kay is not into social media. What is your Facebook account? Yeah. No, Facebook. You still have Instagram or other?
It's Catherine Catrobashan.
Yes. But you have your LinkedIn.
No.
No LinkedIn. Yeah, that's it. Thank you. Third respondent. How about Dr. Emmy?
Yeah.
There Number 3, 4, 5. Number 3. Whom do you think is to blame for the current inflation that we are experiencing? Whom? We are being recorded. We are doing live stream. Careful. Yeah, this is live. This is live. We're on live, so be careful, okay? Now we knew that you're how many years? Now we know that you earns. And that's being recorded. Yeah, we're on video. We're on video. We're on camera. Yeah, there's a camera. So, whom do you think is to blame for the current inflation that we are experiencing? Let's hear it from Dr.
To blame in this current situation, economic situation in the Philippines, I think it's the voters. The voting public, I think, didn't decide properly on who will manage our government. And with the wrong management the government is having right now, because no matter how much President Duterte control corruption, still there are so many corrupt people that the money of the people is going somewhere else, not to the public. And with the news of the rice and other basic commodities that mismanaged by our politicians, causing the indigenous people poverty and poverty and poverty. So I urge every one of you, if you come to discuss with other people regarding which politicians to vote, please encourage them being a Toastmaster to vote correctly and rightly. Thank you.
Yes. Chicken. Yes. Other trivia dimension. Trivia number 3. Do you know when is the next election? Exact date, please.
May 13.
May 13, 2019. She knows very well because are you going to run as a mayor or are you going to run? No. So we're going to vote for the half of the senatorial states, 12 senators, the governor, the mayor, and congressman. Yes. That will be May 13. And please vote for Dr. Emmy. If you're running, Okay. We have 2 guests for tonight. Your name is Stephen and Francis. Would you like to volunteer? Yeah. Yes, Stephen. Yes. Yes. Stephen, you're from Cavite?
Yes.
Choose number 4 or 5. Number
Just
4.
to-
So what adjustments are you doing to cope up with the present inflation? What adjustments are you doing to cope up with present inflation? Let's hear it from Stephen.
Good evening. So it's my first time to be part of this Toastmasters club. So I'm very happy. I have the privilege to provide you my insight about the questions. So for me, as a young engineer, because the inflation I would like to start with the trade law. So with the effect of the trade law, I have more salary right now than the previous.
Wow, yes,
Because I'm the lower bracket. I sit in that lower half. So having that privilege, I have invested more on myself and businesses that I try to put on. So with the money that I have saved before the trade law or the inflation has been implemented, and the money I saved from having that taken effect, I have taken into consideration investing on stocks. I have started a small business in our province. So that's the way I look on that opportunity, having that extra income. So it's being creative on what you have. Because at the end of it, it's how you use that opportunity. And that's to make money out of just that opportunity.
Wow.
So that's all.
Last question. Who does not have a speaking role for tonight? Speaker. Fidel does not. Fidel is. Francis, you want to try?
Yeah, my God.
Yeah, okay, na.
Yes. First time. So, those are your two recruits. Wow. Let's call Francis. It's very easy. We still have one remaining question, and this is the easiest. How do you manage your finances effectively at present? How do you manage your finances effectively at present? That's it from Francis.
First of all, I just want to say thank you for this club, for your and also for inviting us here in Toastmasters. I manage my finances today. Before I work, I started to save a lot, especially during my my work days. That's why. Yeah, half of my salary is I put in savings. I started with that, and then from now, since I have few investment also from small businesses. So that's how I manage my finances, and other investments like houses. Yeah, that's how I manage my finance. That's how.
Thank you very much.
We still have 6 seconds to spare.
First time. Next time, please respond longer. So how many trivia did they give you already? 3. 4 trivia. Do you know how much is the conversion rate of $1 in 1986?
18 pesos.
18 pesos? 1986. I still vividly recall because my aunt or uncle gave me $1 and exchanged it.
28
I was in grade 6 at the time. So how much?
around 28.
28. The crowd in 1986.
I was that born yet.
$1 in 1986 is how many pesos?
2 pesos.
How many pesos? $1 in 1986 is equivalent to 20 pesos. But today, $1 is 54 pesos. So next trivia is the trivia number 5. 54 percent. So if we have a 100 pesos in 1986 and you're going to spend it today, year 2018, that's 96, 2006, 2016, after 32 years, do you know how much is the value of your 100 pesos in 1986 to present in 2018? Any guess? How much is the value of 100 pesos? It's still 100 pesos, still 50 pesos, is it 30 pesos? Is it, how much is the value of that 100 pesos at present? 40 pesos. 30 pesos.
5 pesos. 5 pesos.
5 pesos. 20 pesos. Last guess. 60 pesos. You know, one Toastmaster got it right. John, it's 5 pesos. Big hand for John. Is that based on research or based on guess?
No, I just think about like 100 is equivalent to $1, right? 20.
Yes.
So divided by 20, the 100 is 5.
Is that simple math?
I don't know, I just guessed it.
Is that economic math? So, thank you. And again, let's give a big hand to our 5 brave souls for tonight. Now, let's proceed to the second part of our meeting. That's extemporary speaking, table topic session. Now we have 6 prepared speakers who are going to deliver their speech based on the projects. 5 are based on Pathways. That's the new program of Toastmasters International. And the other one is working on the traditional or the old curriculum of Toastmaster. Let's begin with our speaker number 1. Last meeting he attended, Nerd Club, first time to attend, and after the meeting, he immediately signed up as our newest member. So he was recruited by our president. Yes. And tonight, he's going to deliver his very first speech as a Toastmaster. What are the objectives of the icebreaker speech? Madam Evaluator, kindly read.
Purpose of this project is for the member to introduce himself or herself to the club and learn the basic structure of a public speech.
Speech icebreaker. Yes. So it will be delivered from 4 to 6 minutes. Once he reaches 4 minutes, Mr. Timer, kindly flash the green light. 5 minutes gonna be the amber light. And 6 minutes gonna be the red light. And with 30 seconds grace period to wrap up or complete his speech with the title, The Highlander. Highlander is the heart? We will need this to be evaluated by, wow, a beautiful, confident communicator, Rosemary Galio. Yes. Yes. From Toastmaster Engineer Cyril Cunha. All the way for Cyril.
Thank you, distinguished Toastmaster Dr. Botts. Hello, Toastmasters, guests, good evening. I come from a land up north, a land in between and interlocked between 2 regions, by region 1 to the left and by region 2 to the right. The people of this region were not colonized by Spain, and in fact, during the coming of the Spanish, these people were not able to adapt and accept the ideas, the traditions, and even the religion imposed by Spain. This then prompted them to climb up the hills, up to the mountains, and eventually stayed at the top. This region is called the Cordilleran region, the Cordilleran Administrative Region, or CAR for short. The people of this region are called Highlanders. I myself am a Highlander, and I come from the city of Baguio. The Highlanders share the same sentiments with our Muslim brothers and sisters, in that they also clamor for an independent region, eventually to be recognized as an independent country. If not only for these 2 provinces blocking their supply line from asking and preventing them from asking help from neighboring nations, they would have long ago embraced the idea of rebellion. This is because they feel that they don't belong. The culture of the highlands and the lowlands has a big gap, and this can be seen in the recent movie entitled Goyo, in a particular scene where Emilio Aguinaldo and his men went to the mountains in search for refuge from American soldiers. And it is there where they were shocked to see the cultures of the highlands. There was headhunting, and there were also tribal dances, where men were only wearing skimpy clothing, just barely enough covering the front, but not so much for the back. But now let me introduce myself. My name is Cyril. You can call me Cy. I am 26 years old. I have graduated mechanical engineering from De La Salle University. I am currently a maintenance personnel at a food manufacturing plant in the province of Bulacan. But before my career, let me must first explain how my name came to be. Contrary to popular belief, the name Cyril is actually a masculine name. It is a name given to boys. However, I still find it irritating and somewhat embarrassing whenever I try to order my favorite coffee from my favorite coffee shop.
Starbucks?
Yes. Whenever I give out my name and the server later announces my name, which is a signal that my coffee is already done, they would always assume that Cyril is a miss or a man. And they would always be shocked whenever a guy just like me would approach, and they would always check the receipt to see if the name does really match the appearance. Luckily, this aspect of my life did not whatsoever affect my chances in getting into work. Fortunately, I was able to apply for a job in Bulacan as a maintenance engineer. It's called Interglobal Development Corporation. It is there where we process agricultural products such as corn and produce 4 different products, namely cornstarch, corn flour. It is a thickening agent used in soups. We have corn feeds, the items eaten by poultry animals, pigs, chickens, and ducks. We also have corn oil, another cooking ingredient. And believe it or not, corn sugar, or also known as high fructose corn syrup, the primary sweetener for soft drinks, and acting as a substitute for white cane sugar. I'm already reaching my 2nd year in that company, and probably I could already consider myself as a lowlander, given that I could already communicate with the locals of that land. So I am a highlander. I am also a lowlander. But his information still does not explain how my facial features came to be. My great-grandfather came from China and went to the Philippines during the 1920s, primarily due to economic reasons. He said that life in China before was difficult and there was barely enough food to eat. Fortunately, he was able to find a job here and eventually set up his shop in the north, also in the city of Baguio. And I would like to take this opportunity to thank the people of the Philippines, the country itself, for giving us that generosity during our time of need. And by just closing this speech, I would like to again reiterate that my name is Cyril. You can call me Sai. I'm a maintenance engineer in Bulacan, and it has been a pleasure speaking with the audience. Thank you so much.
We have how many engineers now? We have Engineer Rodel, we have Engineer Cyril, and soon to be our Engineer Francis. So engineer and Stephen was engineer. Wow, we can already build a house and our yes. So Sai, what's your Chinese name? Is it Sai Kunya? Oh. What's your?
It's Wang Yishui.
Wang
Yishui.
Wang Yishui. Is it from Winter Garden? So Wang Yishui. The Sicily? So moving on to our second speaker for tonight. Wow. Last meeting, he completed the ACG. He's now an advanced communicator gold. And this meeting, he's now into pathways. And the second speech of the pathways is under the evaluation and feedback. And he's going to deliver the first speech of that. He chose dynamic leadership as his path. May we know the objectives? I'm going to read the objectives of the speech project. The purpose of this project is for the member to present a speech on any topic, receive feedback, and apply the feedback to a second speech. The purpose of the speech is for the member to present the speech and receive feedback from the evaluator. I need to say, based on the recommendation of the evaluator, he's going to repeat the speech or another speech next meeting based on the evaluation. The title of the speech is The Journey of the Scholar, to be evaluated by past District Governor, distinguished Toastmaster Greg Jing, fresh from Hawaii, straight from Hawaii, who brought us this for the club. Speech title, again, The Journey of the Scholar. Let's hear it from Advanced Communicator, Gold Hour VP for Membership, Dr. Aldwin Sanchez.
Pleasant good afternoon to all of you. Good evening. The background of my speech actually comes from my talk with Dr. Emily this week. She was telling me she would be asked to deliver an inspirational speech. And she was telling me about, I was telling her, why not deliver a speech on the struggles of writing a thesis? Then I was telling her my personal struggles. Now let me begin my speech. The journey of 1,000 steps or miles begin in a single step. At present, if you're going to check my name, there's so many titles. They say it's around 7. AB, MA, MBA, PhD, ED, REB, REA.
ACG.
ACG. That's it. ALL. Those are from the academy. Now, how come it comes to that? Perhaps when I was still young and the background of the family, my mother is an educator herself. She's a public school teacher. So coming from a product of teacher, so she inculcated in our family the value of studies. Our family is not rich. But by the way, I don't earn so much.
My bracket!
But in the government, my SG is SG 27. So you can check the salary.
High grade, high level.
Now, in elementary, I'm always a consistent honor student, graduating as salutatorian. Then I entered the seminary. From high school to college, fortunately, my parents didn't pay anything for my education and for my board and lodging. So that's a scholar. So that's why it's good to study free. But it takes a lot. That's why in the term scholar, S stands for sacrifice. Nothing is free. I always belong either to the number 1 or number 2 or number 3. In the high school, during our time, we do have the NCEE. In our class, it's just natural for our grade in our class, 99 plus. That's in the seminary. In the seminary, the discipline is very much inculcated. Every minute, we wake up around 5:30, then we sleep around 10. Our only study time, around 2 hours in the evening. So that's very structured. Now, how come I was able to derive this discipline? Perhaps in my bigger seminary, because my spiritual director then is Father John Manapol. He's also my philosophy subject professor, but he's also my spiritual director. And during that time, for 2 years, we were asked as his directors to write passages from the Bible as well as from spiritual reading that struck us and put that in the notebook. On top of that, during his class, we were asked to outline 3 pages of his text every day, every meeting. And worst, we have to get the vocabulary terms that we cannot understand. And that's part of the quiz. And we will have to write it in that big Corona notebook. And our dictionary that we're going to bring is the Merriam-Webster, that thick. Every time he's my professor and he's my spiritual director, the discipline has been there. Now, looking back at where I am right now, my classmates were telling me, had they gone through the tutorship or under the being directing of Father John Swanepoel, they could have achieved a lot. Because after I left the seminary, the fellows I went through in the graduate school are not in the master's degree level. Although I'm taking up my master's, but the persons I'm dealing are in the doctoral level. That's why when I finished my master's, my thesis, actually my grade there is Bene Emeritus. What's a Bene Emeritus in UST? That's Magna Cum Laude.
Oh.
Now, it should have been Meritissimus. But the problem happens in my study, I was telling Dr. Ems. At that time, I came out from college, from the seminary, and my advisor was asking for a loan mower. I cannot understand. How come she would ask me for a loan mower? I already paid for my payment for the advisor's fee. And when I didn't give the loan mower, she disappeared. So I was able to finish my thesis, almost 300 pages, with the help of another advisor, a ghost advisor. Then my mentors are from UP, all are from UST. Then during the defense for 2.5 hours, she didn't say anything because she doesn't know what's happening in my thesis. Now, the journey of the scholar is very simple. Yet you have to use your talent for God's glory, for the service. Otherwise, with all my titles, actually, I have all the tools right now. I can manipulate people. But I don't do that. I can easily manipulate even girls.
Wow.
But I do have psychology, business ads, management, TQM, real estate, appraisal. But I don't use my talents to fool or manipulate people. I use it for the service of the Lord. Now, the journey of the scholar, in the letter R, it's almost out of time, it's a responsibility. With greater powers comes greater responsibility. So the journey of the scholar doesn't stop. That's why in the letter L, it's a lifetime. And there are opportunities. A scholar, it takes courage, but there's happiness. Because whether you like it or not, whatever happens, you will have all the options available. But the problem with many options, it's also distracting because it will delay your decision. But my suggestion in life, provide for options. I think I'm running out of time. Thank you for listening.
Yes, it's very true. What did you say?
Great power
With great power
comes great
With
responsibility.
great power comes
great
Responsibility.
higher electricity bill. Yeah, so that's another joke. Maybe Spider-Man? Yeah, you're from Spider-Man. What's the accounter? The accounter? I guess aside from the the ha-ha, we should also count the wow factor. Because sometimes we are uttering, wow. So let's count how many wow. You know, I still receive text messages from other Toastmasters that they want to be start club tonight. But I just responded that our meeting is at 5:30, not 7 p.m. So that's sarcastic. Why? Because they said that they're going to come here at 5:30, but they prefer to go to another club first, and after they will go to arrive here when all the speakers are ready to deliver their speeches. So I'm just being frank and honest and fair. Now let's hear our third speaker for tonight. Wow, level 1E for the completion of his level 1 in the persuasive influence has. Researching and presenting. Madam Evaluator, kindly read the objectives of the speech project.
The purpose of this project is for the member to learn or review basic research methods and present a well-organized, well-researched speech on any topic.
Wow.
5
And
to 7 minutes.
5 to 7 minutes. And the speech title is Life Begins at 40. Very interesting. To be evaluated by distinguished Toastmaster Cathy Bachoco, our resident evaluator. Friends, join me in welcoming Toastmaster John Corillo. No notes? No notes, huh?
Fellow Toastmasters, guests, good evening.
Good evening.
I remember when I was a kid, I was told that life begins at 80. And when I turned 80, the magical number became 21. At 21, he told me that you don't really get an adult if you don't reach 30. When I reached 30, I heard that life begins at 40. What exactly the meaning of the catchphrase, life begins at 40? However, how about the origin, or even try to understand what it is trying to say to us? The catchphrase, I assume, was popularized in a movie, movies. In the Hollywood, there's a movie in 1935. It's starred by Will Rogers. I don't know if anyone watched it. It's a 1935 movie. And in the UK, there's a TV series in 1978 until 1980. And here in the Philippines also, we have the same title of the movie, Life Begins at 40. It's a comedy movie, I'm sure. Anyone aware of that? It's starred by Eddie Rodriguez, Rod Barr, and Eddie Garcia. But before of those movies, there's a self-help book written in 1932 by Walter B. Kripke. The notion of life begins at 40 is 20th century. And prior to that, it's more accurate to say that that begins at 40. Because those people in the West, they don't really live beyond that age. And the phrase is implied the fact that the date expectancy is 40 years. Back then, that is the reason of the health issues, the plague, and the war, because it's the 18th century. We know there's a lot of war going on. Other countries trying to conquer other countries, mostly in the West. And have expanded rapidly, even given the horrors of the First World War and the Great Depression. However, in 19th century, there's a German philosopher, Arthur Schopenhauer. He came close to it with the view that the first 40 years of your life is given the text, and the next 30 is the commentary, which means it's the study about, it's the learning about the years of your life before 40 and after 40, and that is how you become well educated about life. From the birth until teen age, we're so busy about growing up. And that is the pleasant confusion and tangled mysteries. In our young age, we are busy about discussing fashion, trends, entertainment, athletics, and anything that we thought is fun to do. through that, people they need to spend more time learning for many years just to acquire more knowledge and master for their particular skill, that be it in professional school, in an office or laboratory. But before 40, we may be an excellent student, but never as closer to become well educated in our life. The other meaning of life is more. The other meaning of life is more referring to a man. When the men reach the age, they become more confident. They are financially stable, and they flourish and more mature. I guess that's the reason why the young girls, they get attracted to the older men. On the other hand, there's research carried out by Nicola Down in the West, and she said that women get naughty when they turn 40. That's the research from her, not from me. And this is the real journey. Begins from the time that the woman when they reach the age 40. The children, they became older, maybe they left home, and the women, they have more confidence in their body, and they have more sex experience to enjoy never done before. So when the other meaning of life begins at 40, it's not just about we started our life after 40. It's about how we acquire the knowledge, how we learn throughout from our young age until we reach 40. And that's how we accumulate those knowledge and organize it and use it when we become 40. So that it means we started being more confident and mature. Toastmasters, life begins at 40 is just about maturity. It's not about the fun thing that we did or the fun thing that the other people think about when they reach 40. Mostly they think that maybe they're going to do nothing when they reach 40, or maybe they start do clubbing. And that's what most people thought about it. But it's more maturity than being confident. And thank you.
Wow, I'm excited to become 40. Now I understand why I'm immature. Because I'm not at 40. When did you join Toastmasters? When did you join Toastmasters? In the year when I was born. It's 84. 74? 74. Okay. Okay. Now, thank you to our third speaker. Moving on to our fourth speaker of the night. This time, it's not on his level 2 of the dynamic leadership path. Last meeting, he explained about the leadership style. And tonight, he's going to present or understanding his communication style. What are the objectives of the speech project?
The purpose of this project is for the member to learn about different communication styles and identify his or her primary style. The purpose of this speech is also for the member to share the impact of his or her style on others.
Tonight, we're going to know what really is his communication style. To be evaluated again by competent communicator Rose Gallio. Let's welcome our engineer, DL1 or Dynamic Leadership Level 1 Achiever, Engineer Rodel Garcia. You don't know. Okay.
Yes, good evening, fellow Toastmasters.
Good evening.
Who's watching the National Geographic Channel? Anyone? So, this show has captivated the wonderful creatures which give us the idea that how diverse life on Earth. So, what among of these creatures? I was fantastically amazed with a specific reptile species known as chameleon. So, what is the characteristic of chameleon? Anybody else? Yes, right. One of that is they change color. They change color to blend in with the environment. So, in analogy with our communication style, we have 4 different communication styles. First, initiating, directing, supportive, and analytical. And with these, we need to adapt our style and adjust our behavior to be an effective communicator. So, fellow Toastmasters and guests, I would like to share with you about my dominant communication style and my effective approach on how to deal with other different communication styles. So, first of all, my personal communication style is a mix of these 4 different styles. Although, among of these styles, I have my dominant style, which is direct. I'm so focused, result-oriented, and driven. And, before my boss or someone requires me for something, I make sure that I'm in control and prepared. And when the tough gets going, the going gets tough. Meaning, I accept all the challenges and also to use this challenge as an opportunity for me to grow. However, my downside is, I'm getting bored of waiting for something, especially when it's urgent. And as a manager, part of my job, I monitor the processes, the requirements from my staff. And I got so pissed off with them when they process it even, it's very slow, which is, I think I can do it even faster. And which means I am so demanding and impatient as well. Sometimes I would rather to do it on my own instead of, rather than to waiting for someone to do it for myself. So, however, when we take a look with other different style and my approach to adjust with these styles, let's start with initiating. Initiating style is sociable, spontaneous, and enthusiastic. In dealing with initiating style, give them enough space and time for them to express their ideas and opinions because they feel motivated and accepted. And also, this will create a rapport with your relationship. And these people are so engaged of telling more stories. And so you might as well to adjust your communication style in the same manner. So for example, when your friend tells about the story about his vacation trip, what you're going to do is let him to tell you about more of his experience, and at the same time, if you want to reciprocate, also tell your own story about the same experience. So, and that's how for the initiating approach. And let's go to another kind of style, which is supportive style. For the supportive style is they are calm, approachable, and sincere. For you to earn their trust, this supportive style need they need to give them the good and safe environment. So when you're seeking for their opinions and something that you need to get from them, allow them to express freely their concern. Allow them to give them more time to express their ideas and to have their decisions. And do not push them too much details, and also press hard to change things for them. And also at the same time, do not confront them because they're so, that's part of their attitude or personality. For example, in your workplace, you need to have a healthy dialogue with someone. Like for example, he has something issues in his project. You need to talk with him with a healthy dialogue, and at the same time listen to him carefully and let him explain more about what really happened to his project. And let him to provide his own commitment before you to give the constructive feedback. And that's how you can approach a supportive style. And last but not the least, the analytical style. They are so precise, exact, and logical. In dealing with them, you have to focus on details and facts only. And you have to organize and logical. However, you need to avoid to be not serious, vague, and inconsistent. Like for example, in my job, when the accounting department is asking me to give the financial report of my project, I need to make sure that the documents are organized, references are complete, and the deliverables and collectibles are verified so I could earn their trust and credibility. So, fellow Toastmasters and guests, understanding your communication style, whether you are directing, initiating, supportive, and analytical, can help you to be aware of your communication style about your strengths and weaknesses. With this, you can expand more your range of communication style to be highly versatile. So, just like a chameleon, from what I said, you need to blend your behavior and style according to the environment and situation. Pleasant evening to everyone.
Thank you very much to our psychologist of the night. Are you a psychologist? Now we know that he's a direct communicator. No sense? No nonsense? Now I understand why sometimes you didn't get my jokes. Welcome to our fellow Toastmasters from other clubs. And of course, each Toastmaster must have his role. Kay, kindly give your evaluation sheet to James. And Toti, kindly give your evaluation sheet to Sir Ed. We're going to let the other guests do it so you can enjoy listening. Yes, you just evaluate one. So please give your evaluation sheet to Sir Ed. You know, what's the objectives? It's okay. The next speaker will be evaluated by our. Yes. No, it's going to evaluate. Just enjoy listening. Yes. So, yes. Okay. So you can just enjoy. Yes. So may know the objectives later. Okay. So moving on to our to our fifth speaker for the night. The completion of her level 2. Will she make it tonight or not? This time, it's from the path Motivational Strategies. Introduction to Mentorship to be delivered in 5 to 7 minutes. What are the objectives of the speech project? James? Easy to James?
So the purpose of this project is for the member to clearly define how Toastmasters envision its mentoring. Second is that the purpose of this speech is for the member to share some aspects of a previous experience as a protege. This one's for me, so that's fine.
Yeah, those are the two objectives. Title is The Mentee. The Mentee. To be evaluated by ACB, ACS. ECB. ACT. Advanced Communicator Bronze, James Ezekiel. Join me in welcoming Advanced Communicator Gold, Advanced Leader Bronze, Motivational Strategies, Achiever 1, Kay Rogacion.
Mentors can come in different aspects of our lives. The most common mentor is the career mentor. We also have a Toastmasters mentor in the person of Dr. Bolts Victoria, who mentored me in my contest back in 2010, and I was able to reach the national level competition. So thanks to Dr. Bolts.
Wow.
But this is not a tribute to her mentor for tonight. Upon reflecting in my life, I have come to realize that my first mentor was Brother Ray. Who is Brother Ray?
Who?
Brother Ray is an organist in San Rafael Parish in Pasay City. I came to know him when my grandmother's sister influenced me to join the children's choir when I was 10 years old. I was an ordinary choir member until circumstances changed and I had the opportunity to be a lector in one Sunday Mass. The very idealistic lector in me caught Brother Ray's attention because I read the reading very articulately. He spoke to me about it. Little did I know back then that it was the start of a mentoring relationship. He mentored me to become a more effective lector. On my first practice, he asked me to read the reading aloud. After reading it aloud, he demonstrated to me how to read it more effectively. Particularly, he mentioned that I should read silently the reading first. He also mentioned that I should understand the message of the reading to be a more effective lector. As a diligent mentee, I followed his advice and applied it on my next role as lector. I also observed different lectors and commentators in their roles, so that when I was a commentator in school, I was also able to shift my learnings from being a lector to become a good commentator as well. But the mentoring did not stop there. Brother Ray learned that I knew how to play the piano. Building my skills in string instruments, he mentored me to become a good organist. I had to become accustomed in playing church songs using the organ. At first, I was stepping on the pedal board too strong, and the volume of the keyboard was too loud. I also had to get accustomed to a set of members singing the song while I played the organ. More practice under Brother Ray's mentorship improved my skills. When the 5 p.m. Sunday Mass was introduced in San Rafael Parish, the parish priest decided that the choir should be a youth choir. I became the organist. But with some changes, we had a drummer. So I also had to get accustomed to play the organ with a drummer on my side and not be distracted in continuously playing the church song. I had so gotten accustomed to being the organist for some time that, as I recall, I served also as an organist for the elderly choir for the 7 a.m. Sunday Mass. And as I grew in my service in the church, I fell in love with being the organist. I love playing the instrument. Brother Ray's mentorship proved to be very useful. I was able to help him in his church duties since he also served as organist for the children's choir. It was great to have Brother Ray as my mentor in church. I wouldn't have known what I could have done better without him. Sometimes we think we are already good in what we are doing just because we have the talent and the skills. Having a mentor helps us to become better. As a better Toastmaster in representing the club in a contest back in 2010, to become a good lector, commentator, and an organist in my service back then in San Rafael Parish, when I was 10 to 17 years old. Back to you.
Wow. Thank you very much. Okay, it's an organ. We didn't know that. When will the time that you're going to bring your organ in? Okay, that's special number. It's a special number. Yes. Fellow Toastmasters and guests, 5 Toastmasters have just delivered their speeches based on the pathways. One delivered the path based from the path innovative planning. The 2 delivered dynamic leadership. The other one is from the persuasive influence path. And our last speaker, our 5th speaker, delivered a speech from the motivational strategies path. Our last speaker for tonight is working on the traditional manual. And it's from the manual technical presentation. And tonight is going to deliver a speech project for non-technical audience. For the non-technical audience here? Yeah, for the non-technical audience. And these are the objectives of the speech project. Understand the principles of communicating complex information to non-technical listeners. Build and deliver an interesting talk based on these principles and answer audience questions that arise during the presentation. The speech will be delivered from 10 to 12 minutes. 10 minutes, can we please flash the green light? 11 minutes, can be the amber light, and 12 minutes, the red light. And given another, how many minutes for the question and answer? 3 to 5 minutes for the question and answer. So for the non-technical audience, please be ready with your questions. And the speech title is The Stages of Exponential Technology. Did you understand that? The Stages of Exponential Technology, to be evaluated by Advanced Communicator Gold Ed Ramirez, our guest. Sir Ed, you may sit there. Yeah, we send our birthday card. Yes, yes. So you can prepare your questions as well.
Just to clarify, message 10 to 12 minutes.
10 to 12, then 3 to 5.
For the question and answer portion,
3 to 5.
3 to 5 minutes.
Yes, 3 to 5. 3, 4, 5. Let's welcome our...
The question and answer is part of this.
The question and answer is part of the
It's not a
speech.
separate portion.
So,
throughout the speech, there is question.
They can, okay, the total of the speech project is 10 to 12, including the Q&A. Thank you for correction, for correcting. Fine. Let's welcome our VP, our current treasurer and immediately past area director, Aristotle Toti Gueco.
Since we don't have a projector, this project might not. Good evening, Toastmasters and friends.
Good evening.
I'd like to see a show of hands. Who among you has heard of an exponential technology until now? Anyone? Has heard of exponential, has yet to hear about exponential technology until now? Even the term exponential technology. Have you heard of that before?
No.
Sanapia. Okay. Now, I'd like you all to look back and try to recall what was the first model of your mobile phone and what year was it? Analog,
Philips
a
Face.
Nokia phone, a smartphone with a big handheld device.
Motorola.
Beeper. And you can still recall that was way back when? Year 2000, 1990s.
97.
And right now, at present, what are the models of your mobile phones?
X.
Most likely you're all up to date. Most of the people in this room, if not all, are up to date. What are the latest models of mobile phones? And with that, in fact, you have already experienced exponential technology. Therefore, exponential technology is actually part of our lives, and we're all experiencing what is exponential technology. So tonight, I'd like to share with you what are the stages of exponential technology. So you'll get to understand where you are at, or how you are blending into the different stages of this particular very technical sounding term. Okay? First, let us define what is exponential technology. So exponential technology, some would immediately think, or what first comes to mind would be artificial intelligence. What else? You have Bitcoin, IT, programs. So yes, all those are actually part of exponential technology. But as far as the dictionary definition of exponential technology, it actually refers to the rapid increase, development of innovation and technology. Okay? That's why when you say exponential, exponential growth, exponential increase. So it talks about the rapid increase, rapid development of an innovation and technology. And one example, perfect example, would be your mobile phones. Imagine 20 years back, you have the beeper, you have those heavy and large phones, and now we're all using smartphones or mobile phones. Okay? Now, exponential technology was actually developed in Singularity University, USA, California to be specific. So it's not your usual academy. It's a school focusing on Silicon Valley ideas or innovation, technology, and business growth. So that's where the term exponential technology actually came from, or how it came to be. Okay, so first, let's go to the different stages of exponential technology, which is also known as the 6 Ds. So they all start with the letter D. And on the first stage, we have the digitalization. Okay, so digitalization refers to the conversion of an analog item or a thing, and then it becomes part of technology, of a system. So that's what digitalization is. So for example, you have pictures. When it's converted into its digital format, it changes its term into JPEG or bitmap. So I'm not sure if some of you are familiar with these. But when you open a file, a picture on your laptop, on your computer, and you right-click and check the details of that item or that picture, it has an extension. It shows, let's say, picture.jpg. So that's what JPEG is. So it doesn't say picture, it's JPEG. So that's when a picture is actually converted into its digital form. So that's what digitalization is. Converting something into its, merging it with technology, such as the laptop or computer or programs. Can you think of anything else? Any other items that are now in their digital format? Books.
Yes.
They are now known as e-books. Right? What else? Banks. They are now known as, which is now known as e-banking, right? E-commerce. How about music?
Yes.
Music or sounds are now known as, when converted into their digital format, they're called as either MP3 or MP4.
Movie.
Oh, that's movies. Movies. MP4,
Wow.
WAV. That's for
WAV.
the sounds. The WAV.
Watches.
MPEG, right? So all these stuff went through the first stage of exponential technology. They first started into their, or converted into their digital format. And that's what digitalization is. Okay? So after it gets digitized, an item or a thing or a process has been digitized, it moves to the second stage, which is the deception. Okay, deception stage. When it says deception, it doesn't say you're trying to be fraudulent or to deceive somebody. It's just that on this particular stage, people have yet to accept the technology. They have yet to embrace and include it as part of their lives. So another perfect example would be the ATM, or the auto teller machine. When it was introduced in the US in 1920, a lot of bank tellers actually were not in favor of the movement or the transition to the ATM. That they had a rally or held a demonstration against the ATM. But then again, we are now using ATM and it's part of our lives. It made our lives very convenient, and you can ask people who are working people working nowadays to be very highly dependent on the ATMs to dispense cash or get money. Right? Another deception or technology that went through the deception would be the mobile phones as well. Okay? Mobile phones were actually introduced way back 1970s. But then again, people only started embracing or started buying mobile phones or wireless phones rather. Well, that was in 1990s, right? So it took 20 years, more than 20 years before people actually started buying or embracing handheld or wireless phones, which are now known as our smartphones nowadays. Okay? So that's the second stage of exponential technology on deception. For our third stage, this is the disruption. At this stage, the technology either disrupts, either blends with an existing product or services. Okay? So it either creates a new market and then obviously it would disrupt the existing one. Another example for this would be the digital camera. You all remember the story of Kodak, right? So Kodak used to be the #1, the worldwide top brand in producing analog cameras. But when digital cameras were actually introduced, Kodak failed to embrace the technology. And so other companies accepted and developed the digital camera technology, started producing such product, which then people eventually bought and started utilizing and setting aside the analog cameras. And Kodak, as we know, it no longer exists. Right? Or it has a very small operation compared to how it was 20 or 30 years ago. So that's what disruption is. So that's when the technology reaches its disruption stage. It would produce an entirely new market. Mobile phones as well. I mean, it's an entirely new concept 20 years ago, and now it has its own place or space and title in the market. Right? So if you are into stocks or investments, mobile phones are actually part of the blue chip companies. So
mobile phone manufacturers or brands are part of the blue chip company. So if you would invest your money, you will be asked by your broker if you would like to invest in a blue chip company. And that refers to those manufacturers, producers of mobiles. Okay. On the fourth stage, we have demonetization. Demonetization. At this stage, money is actually coming out of the equation, or is moved out of the equation. It makes the product or services either cheaper or almost free. So if you could remember, again, going back to your mobile phones, they were very, very expensive at the time. You would think of, or if you try to recall Nokia, when they introduced 8210, I remember it was then at 20,000.
Yes.
Imagine that's how expensive it was when it was first launched and introduced to the market. It was so expensive that not all can buy and purchase that Nokia model phone, or that Nokia phone. But with exponential technology, when it reaches the demonetization stage, it becomes almost free. Okay? Internet is another example. Internet, before, you have to rent or go to a computer shop, you have to spend 60 pesos for an hour. And the dial-up connection was very slow, that would eat up most of your time. And you would spend more money. But nowadays, internet is almost free. It's part of your mobile postpaid plan. And you have Wi-Fi connection as well, almost everywhere, where you can easily access the internet. So in short, the internet, or whatever new technologies that we are currently enjoying at present, have already reached the demonetization stage. On the fifth stage, we have the dematerialization. Dematerialization on this part, something, an existing good, product or services has already been diminished. And another good example would be Kodak, as we have explained earlier. So Kodak no longer exists, or we rarely see films, manual films, where you have to rewind your camera if you're trying to take pictures, or you have to make sure you have available or enough films when you are capturing something, right? So the film industry has actually somehow been decreased or diminished nowadays. Okay? And lastly, we have the democratization. So the last stage of exponential technology, this refers to the availability of the technology to almost everyone. So again, going back to the internet, Wi-Fi connection, mobile phones, almost everyone has mobile phones. Unlike before, only the rich, the wealthy, or the famous would have these technologies at hand. But nowadays, almost everyone could have it, right? So if you would like to go to a prepaid station, you can always get a load, and then you can connect to the internet right away, purchase mobile data, or what have you. So therefore, wherever we are at the moment, whatever technology that we are using right now, where money is actually out of the equation, or it's almost free, then it already reached the democratization stage. And when that happens, innovators actually think of another way to start digitalizing something. Okay? And going back to my example earlier, you have artificial intelligence. That is something that's being developed at the moment.
Yes.
So scientists, engineers are actually cooking up something to introduce artificial intelligence. Imagine, or if you would remember the movie Artificial Intelligence, it was launched back in the early 2000s. But then again, up to this time, it has yet to be fully developed, fully embraced by the people. So you can already realize, or you can already think at this point, that artificial intelligence is already at the deception stage, right? Because everyone has yet to embrace, or not all,